tried to surround myself with people that were further than me in business.
It seemed counterintuitive, but it helped me to grow the business.
And knowing my God, it helps me every day to humble myself.
Be very successful in business and be Bible-based, Christian value-based person.
I can't.
On the
My
other
face,
side.
no, then you're going to make jokes about my hair.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kingdom Entrepreneurs Business Network Podcast, where faith meets the marketplace. I am your host, Alex Papirnik, and today's episode, we're going to talk about Know Your Stuff. I'm super excited because I'm not alone. And this is exciting because I have two of my best friends here with us. And we're just going to talk about this powerful topic and idea: know your stuff, be expert in your stuff. Doesn't matter if you're just starting the business, doesn't matter if you already, been several years, you're growing, or you have big business, but still, when you know your stuff, when you educate it, I think can break your business to a next level and help you to succeed and make it better. Okay, and here joining me are two of my friends and fellow entrepreneurs, Alex Ankudovic and Konstantin Reznik. Alex, he's the king of kitchen cabinets. He's a specialist in the kitchen cabinets or anything about kitchens. And his company called Kitchen Surge. This guy, he really knows if you need a kitchen. If you have a problem with your kitchen and your wife is bugging you that you need to replace, call him.
Alex, usually guys don't have problem with their kitchen. It's that we need to ask their wives. So
I mentioned.
Yeah, and then becomes guy's problem.
Yes, most definitely.
Thanks, Alex.
But, besides the kitchens, he knows how to implement systems and run the business that delivers and the promises. And that's important. Konstantin, he's someone who's absolutely crushing in real estate. What he's done in just a few years, it's honestly, I'm a little bit jealous because, real estate, you just buy and do nothing. Mm-hmm. You're an oligarch, at least on paper. Mm-hmm. So we're going to hear from them. So welcome, guys. And just want to dive in right away. Alex, let's start with you. Can you share how knowing your trade help you in your business, in this case with kitchen cabinets? If you ever had, in the beginning or in tough situation, how knowing everything that you know about kitchens help you? And did you start it and you had some knowledge before you start your own business?
All right. So, yeah. Thank you, Alex. Glad to be here. This is awesome. Thinking about the business, I had experience designing kitchens before I started working for myself. I probably had at least 10 years of experience, maybe a little more. So number one. Number two, just knowing my stuff. I'll give you an example. So one of the things that I've done the longest in my business, something that it was more or less challenging for me to delegate, is measuring kitchens, going in, doing consultations with people, and then measuring kitchens, right, before the rest of the process will start. So, dude, every time, let's say you call us and you and your wife want to redo a kitchen. I walk in. Every household that I walk into, I don't know what's waiting for me. I've never seen your kitchen. You guys are expecting your professional to come in, look at the space and say, all right, what do you think? Right? Because you have all the answers. Yep. So I constantly have this pressure. I walk into someone's house. I'm walking into so many unknowns, right? And I have to deliver every time. So that was cool. It was challenging. Every day was challenging. You mentioned you're a type of a guy that don't really sit in the office and need to move. And dude, this was definitely one of those things where it challenges you every time. Let me give you an example. I went to this new build house. Person that I knew, he called me directly. He's like, hey, Alex, building this house. Can you come out and help? So I do these type of calls. Otherwise, I'll be like, hey, my measurement guy will see you tomorrow or something like that. So I go into this house, beautiful house, amazing property outside of the city. Anyway, not going to go into details, but I walk in, home is framed out, right? You walk in, big windows overseeing the fields in the back, amazing, just beautiful, and open concept kitchen, which is cool. So when I always walk into the house, I'm like, hey, so what do you think? Right? I always ask a lot of questions. That's the best way to know what people are thinking, how I can help them. They'll tell me some sort of hot buttons that I can press later on in the sales process. I'm in business to sell. And anyway, so he tells me the plan for the kitchen, right? There's a lot of problems with this plan. So dilemma. I come to the person, I respect the person, and he's completely off. Complete incorrect design. Like his focal point was a hood hanging over an island blocking the main window. Like appliances were in the wrong location, the whole 9 yards. Incorrect layout of appliances. I mean, talk about a mess, right? So
And this was a new construction home.
new construction, he was building it. So, but luckily,
So dream house with nightmare kitchen, right? That's kind of the
yeah,
idea.
sure. Yeah, you have a good way of putting it. Electrical partially was done, but plumbing they just started doing. So
Without kitchen layout.
they had a kitchen layout that they thought it was good. Anyway, the point is this: about 2 hours into it, we talked through an amazing layout with an amazing focal point. Anyway, it was just interesting thing. So we designed the kitchen for the guy. I saw him later on. He's still working on the project. Saw him later on. He's like, Alex, you should know I interviewed 2 more people, two more kitchen companies. Your design was the best. I was like, sure, I knew it. Anyway, so yeah, to answer your question, knowing your craft, dude, yeah, knowledge is important. Knowing what you do, right? Being really good. I don't know if I can say being the best because this is relative to what, right? I'm not in Manhattan designing penthouses because that's different skills, right? That's completely different level. But on my level, I think we're decent.
Okay, thank you. Konstantin, for you, what was knowing your stuff in real estate? Because I know you had a construction company, you sold it, but now in the real estate for like 2-3 years, right? And what does it help you, to overcome challenges and to learn and to save money if knowing your stuff, knowing about real estate?
Yeah, so I started in real estate, and then kind of my real estate company was sort of more side business for me, and I ran construction, and it's more of a came back to real estate. So 20 years total experience. In real estate specifically, as a realtor, you are really judged by how much of an expert you are. That's a point of differentiation. And there are really 2 different aspects here. One is being the expert, just knowing your information about real estate, the property laws, and all the different things, and how to sell, and then how to structure contracts, and all the different issues that you could have. And there's the issue of being able to present your expertise properly. So when I got into real estate, my brokerage where I got started, because in Pennsylvania you have to work for a broker until you get your broker's license after so many years and number of transactions. We had to take Sandler's Sales Institute. So it was like a great, amazing training I recommend to anyone, like probably top-notch sales training. And it really worked well with my values. It wasn't about hard sell. It wasn't about pushing. It's about discovering people's needs properly and kind of introducing a solution for their needs. Kind of just the best way. That's kind of why business exists. So in Sandler's, they had this concept of, don't become a free advisor, a free consultant. So a lot of people in sales, what they do, they get loaded up on this knowledge, and then they come to do an estimate or come to do a presentation, and clients, they just give all of that away, their expertise and knowledge, for free. And it happens with estimators quite a bit. They called in and people ask them this, that, and then the other question. So there's always this dilemma, or there's this conflict between how much do I share and how much am I just going to give for free? How much do I need to share that I am an expert in order to win a job, and how much do I need to, charge for, essentially? Because this expertise does not come free. It's a lot of mistakes, errors, schooling you take. I had to take a lot of different classes to not just licensing classes are the easy part. It's the learning part. And then there's the depth and breadth of knowledge as well. Some people just do one thing and do it well, but they don't really, as soon as you take them outside of the boundaries of their knowledge, then they're done. My former broker had this expression that really, really stuck with me when I just got my license and I was meeting with him, and I said, well, we have people here in the industry who claim they have 30 years experience in real estate. I mean, why would someone hire me versus them? And he says, well, there's 30 years experience and there's 1 year repeated 30 times. And that really stuck with me. Sometimes people just do one little thing and they just do it over and over and they don't deviate from that, and they claim 30 years experience. So the breadth of experience of knowledge also is important, especially if you take on different types of jobs. And then the clients can really rely on you to provide a solution for them. There's been many times when based on my expertise, based on what I was seeing what the market was doing, market statistics, I would advise people not to sell. They would call me to a listing appointment. I would say, why are you selling? Bad time for you personally. Given everything what you told me, you should not be selling. And long term, so like that, the ability to know kind of the timing and everything, even though it seemed counterintuitive, but it helped me to grow the business.
Okay, so for 20 years, you also have real estate license?
Yeah.
Realtor license. Right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And
Well, I started as a realtor, then I got my broker's license, opened my own brokerage.
oh, okay. But when you just fully focus on real estate investing, that's how many years after you sold your business?
Well, I think I had the real estate rental properties. Like I was flipping, and then I bought some rental properties, but the scaling of real estate really just happened maybe last 6-7 years, something like that.
To run your business and be an expert is not just to show off. It's not just like be prideful, but it's actually, solving problems. It's you building something that's going to last. So the statistic is just blew my mind. The founders who continue learning are 40% more likely to succeed. Who continue to learning, who continue to growing, educating themselves, because like you said, sometimes you just stick to do it one way. And I realize in our company, it's so hard to have people change. There is new, and right now everything is much faster with technologies and AI. And
Tell them if they don't change, AI will replace them.
And if they do change AI, will still replace them.
yeah,
But don't tell them that.
92% of startups fail within 3 years, and the number one reason, lack of knowledge or expertise. It's crazy. So, for me, I have a question to both of you. What's one business myth people need to stop believing it? Maybe, there is like, fake it till you make it. So people think, I'll start it. I can do what Alex do. I can do what Konstantin do. I just have to start it. That's it.
I think people don't see a lot of effort that went in. Like right now, someone can look at us and say, oh, good for them. They're successful, right? Well, for you, that success was almost like overnight. You just got to know us and we're like, okay, these guys are successful. That's a myth. You don't become successful overnight, right? There's so many things that you have to learn to be successful. But I've yet to see someone who's going to build a business that's very successful in a short time. It takes effort.
And short time, what do you mean by that?
I mean, few years. Like that doesn't happen. Few years, you only get to the point where people get to recommend you, and all of that, and you're building a team. Unless you're in startup AI of some sort, then everything is way quicker. But this overnight success thing, I think, well, that's one of the myths.
Yeah, for sure. Through real estate, especially, right? So it's one of the myths that I see people believing is that you can establish a certain type of business. You could build it up. You can put it on autopilot, and like it's gonna serve you forever, and it's gonna serve you. Well, everything changes rapidly, and one of the key things as the business owner that is no one can do it for you, is to be changing, to be growing, to be adapting, to constantly watching what the competition is doing, adapting new technologies, improving, finding efficiencies. That is part of the building expertise, not just in your trade, but also general business acumen and systems and processes. And what you know today, now there's certain fundamental things because you sell to people and you have to sell to needs. Those fundamental things don't change unless we're going to have to start selling to AI in the future. But that's a whole different conversation, right? But it's just this whole belief that I made it, because you never truly made it in business.
Yeah, really good. I like the answers. So it comes out that learning is not just the optional. It's a must thing. It's like a fuel and power for our businesses all the time, learning, educating yourself. Yep. So I want to ask if you guys have really like short story, one thing, in your business that you learned and it saved you or boosted your business. Just one thing. I know there is probably many, but if you can just share one.
Something that quickly comes to mind. This was a while ago when iPads were not a thing. They were just coming in. And
what year was this?
Dude.
What era are you from?
Don't you see his gray hair? He's old.
He's getting ready
you should
for
say,
Christmas.
at least I got hair, right?
All right, there's that. And, all right, there's one joke about my hair. Okay, so as I said, a while ago, when iPads were just coming in, we were doing so many things on paper, and I switched to an iPad. And it was just, I started putting iPads in the business. Now, obviously, today everyone has technology everywhere, iPads, iPhones, all of that. But back in the day, it was such a shift. I've started doing everything electronically, emailing right away. I measured the job, emailed it right away. That was next thing. Why I'm telling you this, because in the construction world, everyone was blown away. I've come across a contractor. Wow, it was unheard of. But for me, this was a big step back in the day. Just going digital, removing most of the paperwork and just going digital back in the day. It was a frontier.
Yeah.
So one thing that comes to mind when, in addition to real estate, I was also running a construction company. I was doing accessibility adaptations for Department of Veteran Affairs and like additions and other projects. So a friend of mine invited me to join. Let's partner in business that has a specific niche. We are going to be a food service renovations contractor, commercial only. I said, I know nothing about food service. I know nothing about commercial. He's like, don't worry, that's easy. We're going to learn. And so we started a company, and he was able to convince one of his clients to give us a chance. So we show up. So we gave them an estimate, and it was a cafeteria renovation at one of the hospitals. And then we come to a meeting, and the expectation is you're all dressed up, suits and everything, and then we're meeting with the CEO of the hospital and like their upper management and some other people that have to oversee construction. And during a meeting, and I know nothing about this business, so I rely on my friend who's a business partner a little more. He's more on the design side of things, but he's more knowledgeable about food service. So we're in the meeting, and their head nurse asks us, what ICRA level are you guys going to be using on this project? To me, that's like Greek. I have no idea what he's talking about. And my friend like we pause for a second, and he says, "That's gonna be class 3 ICRA, right?" And my friend goes, "Yeah, we always use class 3. And they're like, "Okay, good." So after the meeting, I go to him and I say, "Dude, what's ICRA?" He's like, "I have no idea. Look, Google it." So I Google it. It's infections control risk assessment that hospitals use to kind of figure out what protections they need to use and for construction areas to guard against infection. And I decided I'm going to become an expert on this thing. So I read everything about this. I studied the videos. I figured out what class levels mean and all that. So next time we show up to a hospital and they're evaluating how professional you are, and I figured I'm going to start with ICRA. So we come into a meeting and we're presenting a project, and I go, we're going to use ICRA class 3 because class 2 would be insufficient. And I went into describing the water table pressure drop that we're going to use on our pressure machine with monitoring, all the different things about, we don't need anti-room for this and for that. And I was watching by their eyes, like they were kind of skeptical. And by the end of like 5 or 6 minutes of me describing it, they're like, we don't have any more questions. These guys obviously done a ton of these projects, and then they know what they're talking about. This might have been our second project or third. And I learned really fast that there's certain type of knowledge that the client gauges you on that is very critical in your particular niche and industry. And they value, so that's very critical to become an expert in that particular thing really fast, early on in business.
This is awesome, because I hear real stories, real entrepreneurs. I can pinch them, they alive. And I've been growing up together with these guys, and it's amazing how through all this knowledge and education, you guys are successful businessmen. I want to ask our audience and followers, if you've not been subscribed, then please subscribe, because you're gonna miss out on a lot of things. It's a lot of good content is gonna be recorded, and a lot of amazing hosts that we're gonna have on our podcast. So please subscribe and hit the like button below. We appreciate it. And I want to also ask if you guys can put in a comment what one skill you haven't revisited in years that could use a refresh, and maybe you can start using it. And I also want to know if there's people watching us, what business you have, then you don't need to learn anymore and don't need to keep educating yourself. It just grows and runs automatically. Please comment below. We would love to hear from you. Why knowing your stuff matters. For me, in my business, it's really helped, actually, I think, because of the knowledge that I had in plumbing and HVAC. It helped me to succeed. It helped me to win, because I knew there is things and issues, problems come up in business, but I didn't know there's going to be so much. It's just plenty of issues come up on daily basis. And who's going to solve them? It's good when you have professionals working with you, right? And you can rely on them and you can send and everything's going to be taken care of. But as we were starting up, we were just hiring new people that never did plumbing, we're training them. Man, I just thank God the knowledge that I had from previous good people. I was working with my uncle, with my brother-in-law, with other guys, the American guys that teach me, some older guys. They put a lot of, they were really good mentors, like they put in the time to explain when I was just a helper for them. And that's blessed me so much, because now I have that knowledge in different commercial, residential, everything about plumbing. So it helped me because I knew my trade hands-on. I was not just, in school. I was not just watching. I actually did myself. I did commercial. I did residential. I did new construction, renovations, industrial, boilers, all that stuff. And that's amazing. That's what I had maybe over my time period being in the business, maybe like 10 guys coming to me and they just turning it up, learning plumbing. They want to be a plumber. Just recently, one guy called me from Washington State. And I said, one thing, if you're going to learn this trade really good, that you're going to know for yourself. And then you're going to start working for people. People are going to see and notice it. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like you said, in the meeting, they're like, we know this guy, So people notice that. They realize right away. So I have a question. Is it important to be professional in your trade before you open your own business? Like, you know, usually you starting up and you always work for somebody or you work somewhere, you're learning, you practicing. Do you need to wait when you feel really good, like you're confident that you got, obviously, I mean, nobody knows everything. There is things that's outdated. There's things that comes new. It's always changing. But do you need to be like, okay, I think I can do a full house from scratch?
Well, it really depends on the industry. So if you're a professional engineer, obviously you can't just start an engineering company. You need to get and you better go to school, and you have to work for 5 years under another PE, and pass a test. And there's a level of if you're designing bridges and structural components and all that, you better have that skill. The different industries, like the entry barrier for that is really high because of background experience needed. Other industries, they take a lot less, but still, I just used the example of us, doing construction with like sort of food service specialty inside healthcare institutions. That's a niche within a niche, and some of the knowledge we picked up in the field, a lot of knowledge we picked up just learning ahead of time. But I would say, if I had zero construction experience, I could never make it. So I applied whatever experience I had working for other people or doing other smaller projects to be able to do that.
Well, what if you don't know nothing about, like, for example, real estate? There's people, I talked to some younger generation, and they said, I just want to be an investor. I want to invest in real estate. Like, can they just start doing it, or they actually need to learn?
So some businesses like real estate investing, you can actually hire experts to help you. So you can find an experienced realtor who specializes. Again, this is specialization within the field.
Yeah,
but
now it's costing you money. It's not like you're doing it on your own. They want to do it on your own.
What I'm saying is, if someone doesn't own any properties and they watch a bunch of YouTube videos, like, it's super easy, whatever, hire a professional to help you with that. They always recommend you build a professional team. Find a CPA, a lawyer, a realtor, contractor, people who can actually help you get those projects going. Don't do it yourself. So if you don't have the expertise, hire people. Same thing like any other field. Let's say you're starting a company, you're good at sales, or you have certain skills, but you maybe lack the technical skills, like in plumbing, for example. You partner up with someone or hire people who have those skills that, and maybe they carry a license as well with those skills with them. And then you could theoretically do it. Of course, it's easier when the owner has that skills and expertise, but technically it is doable by hiring people.
What do you think, Alex? If anybody wants to start.
Well, in the beginning, you touched on this a little bit, being professional. And I think just by judging who I am, my personality, right? When I was working for a kitchen company before I started my own, I worked there as though this was my own business, right? So I cared for it. I treated it as though it was my own, right? So you were asking about professionalism and treating people and all of that. Dude, with me, this is, again, my personality. I started doing it when I was working for someone else. And now as we hire people, we're focusing on, would this person be a good fit for a team? What are their qualities, right? And I think something like this will definitely come through in an interview. So my encouragement, if you are watching and you're working for someone currently and maybe you're not treating, the place where you work as your own, you should try. Another thing during an interview, right? We always probe to ask questions of people. Hey, what do you think about your previous management? Right? Because if they're talking bad about that management, most likely they're going to talk, you taught me this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I've learned that lesson from you.
You don't hire people if in the interview they start bashing their previous jobs.
The point is, learn how to be professional wherever you are. Whatever you do, become good at it, right? If you're just, let's say doing bookkeeping, it seems maybe, like, all right, I'm just doing bookkeeping, but do it to your best ability, right? Go the extra step, become better. And at some point, maybe some doors will open up for you where you can go and maybe start working for yourself.
So for sure, based on your answers, for sure, trying to, like, let's say you want to open the restaurant, go work for somebody, see how the things run, or just try it and see. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, by far, it's the cheapest way to learn by working for somebody else. If you're gonna start yourself and then get into all kinds of financial issues just because you don't have enough knowledge or get sued or whatever, it's very expensive.
I'm telling you guys, this is such a powerful truth. It's the cheapest way to learn and grow, because you learn it
and they pay you for it.
Yeah. You don't have to pay for the class. You talking to some younger generation, they're like, no, I don't want to work for somebody. Yeah, but doesn't matter where you want to get your education, you're going to have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
So this way you go, like if you like in construction or whatever, even engineer, you go to work for an engineering firm and see how they do things and how everything operates and learn. And at the same time, maybe in school stuff. So if you're already running your business, I want to remind you, keep learning, keep growing, be an expert. It's a power to just continue learning. One book that's really changed our company and JPD, I wrote this book, The 4-Hour Work Week. And this book is really radical. When I read it, this guy he hired some specialist in India, and they were just scheduling everything, sending flowers for his wife, scheduling his haircut. Like, this is too personal for me. Like, I don't want somebody to schedule that for me. But it still, I took from that book, I figured that's a lot of things I can just hire people remotely. And one guy I trained for years, to do the permits in Ukraine, and he still does it till today. And now he does it also invoicing and checking, punching apps hours and everything. So that was a game changer for us. Even when we were going on the trips together with other plumbers and we were telling them this, they're like, oh, wow, that's a good idea, because these drawings and permits take so much time. I don't know, maybe different states it's not so strict. In New Jersey, you got to submit every house, every little bathroom drawing for everything, detailed. So then, you can compete with other companies. And on the other hand, we use the CAD file program, so the drawings look professional. Most of the plumbers just do by hand,
Mm-hmm.
So that was a game changer for us. But let me ask you guys, what one book every entrepreneur should read? And I know, Alex, you probably want to mention a lot of books, but let's say if, not load them up in this episode, let's just give them one today, and then maybe next episode, a couple more.
No, as far as like one best book, like what are you trying to learn? The beauty of you being an entrepreneur, right? You're not in school. The beauty is this: you get to learn what you need today, right? So when you're asking me, hey, Alex, what's the best book you can recommend? I'm like, was this referring to last year or like 10 years ago? Because those are...
Now, we're talking about now, present. We don't care even what happened during COVID.
So
we
right
need
here.
it now, 2025.
Put it next to your face, right?
I can't.
On the
My
other
face...
side.
No, then you're going to make jokes about my hair. So the book is called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And it's about goal setting and how 10X goal is easier to achieve than 2X goal. Because 2X goal, when you're like, okay, for me to grow twice, all right, I know I'm going to need to do this is going to increase, the budget is, anyway, so it's doable for you to kind of analyze. And it's a lot of work, right? 10X, you go, going 10X is probably only one way of getting there. And it's just simple. It's a completely different mentality. So 10X is easier than 2X is definitely, today, pretty powerful book. Highly recommend.
You read it and it works?
I read it. I took a retreat, personal retreat of like 2.5
After you read the
days.
book, you needed a retreat.
Oh boy! All right.
And he probably needed one before he read it too. Before and after.
Oh boy!
Okay.
Yes, so there's that. Let's see what book you have.
Konstantin, you have?
I'm gonna have to pair it your earlier book recommendations. I would say probably the most powerful book for beginning entrepreneurs is still, after many years, Michael Gerber's E-Myth. There's a several new editions, E-Myth Revisited, and there's E-Myth for, now they have E-Myth for specific industries. So get one for your industry where you want to start a business. And it really, really liberated my thinking in terms of, it helped me compartmentalize, like being a technician, being a business owner, being like a manager. And it really gives you the systems to get started for beginning entrepreneurs. I think in my mind, it still stands. And I recommended it to Alex and other people, anyone that I talk to who starts in business, or if they start describing the struggles, I say, okay, first book you read is this one.
Yeah. And also, if those that are listening or watching, they can go to our website, KEBN.org. Under resources, we have I think 10 books that we recommend to read about business and finances and all. So that's another good resource.
Amazing. Thank you. Knowing your profession, your trade is one thing, but then there's the business side. When you just one man solo, you do everything. You work, you're an installer, you're an estimator, you're an invoicing guy, you're a permit guy. But then after you start hiring people, and how to manage all that, how to hire the right people, how to build a relationship with them, how to have this line where you are a boss and you are also a friend, or you are a co-worker to or partner to get the things done, because you want to have relationship, you want to have good relationship. So I think there is like an unofficial title in business, chief problem solver, because problems arise from everywhere.
I would say chief harder problem solver.
Yeah. They just come uninvited and from everywhere, understanding finances, leading your team as the team grows. This is like a total package, you have to take care of it. How do you get all this knowledge, and how did you guys learn it? Konstantin, let's start from you. How did you learn? Besides, you knew about work, what have to get done. You learn about kitchens and stuff, or the food industry, and working with people, hire people,
Yeah, I think this is the biggest surprise to most people who start a business. They start out as a specialist or professional in their specific industry. They either worked in the field, like Alex worked for a kitchen distributor before, or they were working for another company, and they look at their bosses and the company like, man, they are getting money for doing nothing. I want to do that. I'm like, well, what am I? And I did the same when I was a software developer. I would look at my bosses. I'm like, these guys are raking in million, and I'm doing all the work. So once you start your own business, the hard reality hits is that your skills, their technical skills in your particular are not enough to get you growing. You suddenly, first thing you got to learn is sales. If you don't know sales, you cannot grow your business. You need to know how to sell your service or product. And so take Sandler's Sales Institute course or read some books. Dan Kennedy has this whole No BS series on all kinds of sales and marketing. They're very eye-opening, whether you agree with everything or not, but very eye-opening, very good stuff. I highly recommend it. So learn sales first, become good at that, because if you're highly technical people, like most people who start a business, let's say you want to open a bakery, and you're great at baking things, and you just open a store, there's so much that goes on outside of the baking of itself, the core thing of doing, of actually delivering a product. You have to learn that, And then, so outside of sales, you have to then learn how to manage people. Most businesses cannot, unless maybe you're a lawyer or a doctor, and even then you still end up hiring people that work for you. Most people do not enjoy that part. For most technically gifted people, this is the hardest thing. So again, learn from, take courses online, watch YouTube videos, or better yet, read some books that we recommend. It's all about setting up systems and processes that help you manage the people, help you hire the right people, implement EOS system in your company, or there's many different training and coaching programs available in your particular industry. I remember in real estate, when I wanted to specialize in working with real estate investors, I hired a coach essentially that helped me set up a sort of investors club and kind of a paid sort of program that people can join, and then they could learn, and I did the classes, and then they would buy real estate through me, and that helped to position me, but also helped to kind of hire the right people, establish the right processes just by learning from these programs.
And Alex, for you, maybe you remember when you hire your first person or a fifth person. I had a person in Denver, Colorado conference. He came up to me and he said, I have 2 guys or something like that. And he said, how do I grow to 10 people? Yeah. How do I manage that? How do I find people and structure?
I don't know. I think just knowing all of you guys, we have grown out of necessity, I think, right? So it's when someone is asking, man, how do I grow to 10 people? Well, if your company is growing, you have no choice but to hire others, right? Otherwise, listen to another episode that's called Don't Be a Slave to Your Business. Right? So, yeah, when business grows, you just start, you have a need of hiring people, right? For me, I've always learned from others. I tried to surround myself with people that were further than me in business, right? So, like, for example, there was a season in my life where there's 3 business owners. We would meet, our friends. We would meet every week. We would pray for each other. We would watch different videos, share the books that we were reading, just encourage others. I think at that point, I have purchased access to the EOS system online, and I was just implementing it myself. So I was learning from others. I was learning from the books. I was learning from different systems. Hiring, someone in the beginning, I couldn't afford good people. I couldn't afford good people with a lot of experience, right? So I just found people that fit my culture, people that had potential, and I trained them. Now I'm looking at this and I'm like, that was probably the best anyway, because you get to train them the way you want them to work, and they follow your systems, and it just worked. But yeah, I learned because I needed to. I learned from books. I learned from other people a lot. And I just, made mistakes. And then, that's how I kind of rolled in the beginning.
For me, I think helped also ministry, that I was serving in church, and I kind of, you called to serve. And at the same time, I really was interesting to read and listen to John Maxwell and Greg Rochelle, these 2 speakers, that John Maxwell is always repeating, add value to people, add value to people. And it helped us to just, respect people, add value to them, encourage them, and there's few testimonies I have even now that people say they came to our company just because we treat them with respect. We know that there is value. They value us here. It was the same pay. They just came to us because we
very interesting. You were talking about leadership, because I've read so much John Maxwell in the beginning, leadership-wise, and I like what John Maxwell says. If you want to check someone else's leadership skills, have them go and lead someone in nonprofit, because people don't have to follow you there, right? Then you'll see if people can cast vision, if people can attract other people to follow them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're not a leader. You're just taking a walk because no one is following you.
And that's a great point, Alex. As I was a youth pastor, since I was 20, and then when I started hiring employees in my 30s, I applied everything I learned, managing a youth group, building a team, just whole team building, developing leaders. I applied all those people skills that I've developed in ministry to business. And then whatever I learned in business from that point on, I reapplied it back to ministry, and I realized it's the same thing. Managing people, inspiring people, leading people, whether it's business or ministry, it's kind of the same skill. Those are incredibly useful skills, whether in business or ministry or in personal life, incredibly useful skills to learn.
For me also, knowing my God, we talk about knowing your stuff, knowing your trade, knowing sales. It's like everything combining. And knowing my God, it helps me every day to humble myself. Oh, I'm not a big boss. I'm just a human being. I'm just a manager of the company that God put me. Mm-hmm. And honestly, this is all helps every day to just depend on God, to just stay focused. Doesn't matter if it's really good or if it's struggles, you have financial problems, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow. Nobody knows. For me, it's important because I pray every day and I say, God, I want to wake up because I want to see my kids. I want to make sure, they're going to grow up and then you can take me. But right now, I just still have a lot of ideas, passion, and create things, So I want to know and ask you guys, what is knowing God means for you?
Just talking about this subject, I don't know if there's like, some people say, well, there's you're a Christian, like, how do you do it in business and all of that? And to me, this is like so simple. I am just a Christian guy, and I am not a different person at work. I am this way here with you guys. That's who I am at work. I'm the same way in church, just like this, right? So there's not a switch of some sort for me that I'm one way in one setting, another way in another setting. So I am a Christian person that runs a business, right? So I don't know. I've never struggled with, kind of like having two different almost like personalities. I've seen people that in church they're one way, and in the business they're completely different. To me, I think that's a challenge. That's a challenge on multiple levels. So, yeah, faith is very important. Treating people, like serving people, is very important. What you guys just alert to, serving in church, that's been such a huge influence on me, on my leadership and loving people and serving people.
So you almost have no transition. If you're in the office or you go hang out with the church, some event, it's like the same way you act, same way you talk.
Right here, just like this. This is me.
What if somebody in your office comes and they have a need? Would you pray for them, or would you offer them, I know this person, you can reach out, or I can give you some money? What would your first think?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah, I've done it.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if someone has a need, we'll sit down and talk, and we'll see where God leads and kind of go from there.
And sometimes you just need to talk.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
God is the source of who I am, and all my values and everything, everything I know in my value system is based on knowing Him personally, having a relationship with Him. My entire meaning in life is based on that. And so that translates into every area of my life. And I really am intentional about, being the same person in every area of my life. So one of the businesses that or services that I have to do is property management as part of, owning real estate. Either you hire people or you do it yourself. I used to professionally provide it for other clients, so right now I only service my properties. And the landlord-tenant relationships, they could be tricky. So I always ask, can I be a pastor to my tenants? So how do you navigate? Because a lot of landlord-tenant relationships are fear-based. There's a saying, landlords rule by fear. And what I've discovered is that when I adopt an attitude that I'm in the business of housing and I provide housing solutions to my tenants, there's areas where I have to be firm. There are times when I have to evict people for non-payment. I try to work with them. I try to give them different payment plans, and if there's no good faith response, then I tell them how it is. You're not acting in good faith, and I have no personal animosity towards you. I wish you the best. It's kind of like firing employees. Sometimes you would tell them, maybe you should work for another person, and it would be better for you than working here. I don't have any ill will for you. This is just not a good fit. And same thing in those relationships versus this adapting this adversarial sort of situation where you're like are nasty to your tenants, and then next thing you know, you're serving a church, and then it just, you have to be the same person. I tell tenants when if they ask me, I'm a pastor as well. I do pray for my tenants. When I see a need, like a physical need or emotional need, I'll pray for them. I have not seen that a need to be that kind of fear-based nasty landlord. As long as I'm firm but polite, that's sort of the attitude that I've adopted.
So it's pretty much if you have God, Christianity, business, and your other life, like you can really draw a line.
So
Because you're Christian who you are.
Here's how this translated. For example, when 2020 happened, during COVID, the Trump administration implemented a rule that disallowed landlords from evicting tenants. Yeah. And I looked at it and I thought, oh boy, if the tenants are not afraid of being evicted, that's really like the best tool, like the biggest tool in your arsenal that you have to make sure you get paid. And I thought, I don't know what's going to happen to my real estate business. And then what I learned is the fact that I built relationships with my tenants, the fact that I did my best to maintain properties on time, that I've been good to them, pretty much everyone was paying me. And then people who struggled, I worked with them, but some people told me, we know we don't have to pay you right now because you can't evict us, but you deserve to be paid. You're providing housing for us. And I found that building those relationships pays in business, even in property management business.
Yeah, it's a payoff. But what if people say, I met this one guy, and he called himself a Christian. He's from New York, and he said, this is capitalism. Alex, you have to be brutal. You have to be mean. You have to fight. You have to be bully. If you want to succeed, that's the only way. If you just be nicey, you're not going to succeed. There's people going to step over you.
I've met those people. I don't want to do business with those type of people. And number one, number two.
He's very successful.
I know. Sure. Listen, the person, I read this interesting statement in this one book I was reading, that don't think because you have these good qualities you're going to succeed in business. No, person like this who's just mistreats people every step of the way. Honesty is not even on a radar, right? But he's a good, amazing entrepreneur. Risk taking is his middle name, right? No problem whatsoever. Jumps in, it has this business acumen, right? And can make money. So don't mistake those two things, right? Now, I don't know what's happening in his personal life and his values and all of that. That's a completely different story. My value system is different, right? So don't mistake those two things. But at the end of the day, all of us, we leave some sort of heritage behind us for our kids, for people that surround us. And I am the type of a guy that I love helping people. Right. That's one of the things that I do. I go the extra mile. That's who I am. So I'm not mistaking those two things, but because of the faith in God, I have these principles that I stick with. That's me.
And there's a saying I heard in business, nice guys finish last. It's kind of along the lines of business is ruthless and all that. And I would say that person only has sort of like a limited understanding of what capitalism is. Because part of capitalism is winning clients, is delivering products and services that clients want, that clients need. Especially if you're working with clients, you cannot necessarily. I agree with Alex that the entrepreneur skill is separate from your ability, from your values and so on. You could be a really nasty person and succeed. You just have to know where to be nice and to whom to be nice. But in this world in which we live, if you're nasty to your employees, they're just gonna go somewhere else. It's almost like sometimes you have to bend over backwards to keep good people working for you. And if someone is really nasty and they'll end up having to pay a lot of money for people to tolerate them. At the end of the day, the profit motive in business is one thing, but as Christians, our motive is also to serve God with our business. And as Hobby Lobby and other companies that are run by Christian families who have different value system tells you, you could be very successful in business and be Bible-based, Christian value-based person, and don't be nasty. Value your employees. Honor God through your actions in business, not just in church, but.
And Alex, on the contrary, I've seen people that are amazing that have amazing core values, have built amazing companies, have sold these amazing companies, and now doing different things, and they've always been a benefit for the kingdom of God, right? So I've seen both sides; they do exist.
And I think we cannot mix up Christianity with being nice in general. Christianity does not mean that you cannot be firm, that you cannot. You have to fire people. And you have to be firm in that, but you don't have to be nasty to them.
Yeah,
I agree.
Anyway, but knowing your stuff is really a big thing in my life. One time I remember we were doing this huge project, and there was a problem. And when you have a problem, I don't know if you guys have in your business, but sometimes you have to improvise because they don't teach you that in school. And if you never have done it, you don't know how to do it. So you have to think what's logically you can, invent it to make it work. And to make it a short story, we fixed it and everything worked great. And we built with this person a great relationship in the future and give us a lot of business. And it just value for both, just because of simple thing that we helped to figure out the problem. And to help figure out the problem, you need some knowledge. You need something to know, and then based on that knowledge, you already can improvise. Like, okay, the plumbing works this way, and then we can try this. So, can you share any like that stories in your life where you fixed something for some person, and not necessarily you wanted to do it, but you just did it, and then eventually it came in the return?
Yeah, I've done plenty of those. One job comes to mind. There was this project they were doing downtown Philadelphia. It was a higher-end apartment building, I think 5 units, and they ordered cabinets from IKEA, and parts came missing and all, and they didn't know what to do. They needed to fix the job. They called me. We never worked with them. We got recommended to them. They called me, and I know I can't help them. I don't have IKEA product, right? Everything else would not fit because it's so specific. So I said, you know what? Let me jump in. I don't know if I can help you. I have some time on my hands. I'll jump in. I went to IKEA. Started speaking to the manager. Found out that they already brought in the material. The material was there. They could pull up the order. I have all of the information. Anyway, so basically I spent maybe a day and a half. In reality, they already had the product. The product was shipped to them. So I just invested some time and just figured out the communication between them and all. Later on, guy gave me like $42,000 order. This is years and years ago. We still work with him. We do projects for him.
I have tons of these stories in real estate. When I did sales personally, as a realtor, I had that principle that their interest above mine. Not only the law requires it, the licensing law in Pennsylvania, but it was also kind of a moral stand for me. So if the house they wanted to buy it was just not the best fit for them, I would tell them this is a horrible place for you. Great for somebody else, maybe not for you. Or like I mentioned before, if they wanted to list a house and I knew from what they're telling me, this is a mistake, I would tell them, I don't recommend you sell. This is like, it doesn't make sense financially for you. I don't understand your reason for selling. And maybe like if you want to sell it, I'll sell it for you. But I'm telling you, like from what you're telling me, I would not recommend it. And those people would later tell everyone they knew, oh, he's so, he told me what I needed, and even he didn't make any money. I mean, you get so much referral business, so it pays dividends significantly.
So pretty much you knew something, people ask you for help, and it's benefited you. So I think it's like, it's not even if you don't want to be in your business, but you have knowledge, it's always a blessing. It's always good for you. So I want to just encourage all of you who's listening to us, what you know, what you learn, what you're going to get educated with, it's just an asset for you for the rest of your life. Nobody can take away from you. Like, I have knowledge in plumbing, and this is my asset. People know if they have issues with plumbing, they call me, and I can just sometimes help them. And if you just help them, sometimes you don't want to do because it's like it's not a good job or something, but you're just willing to help, it can be a huge return. They can get you a nice big project or something, or recommend you to somebody. So, question to all of you, and I want Alex and Konstantin, if you can take, I don't know, a few minutes. We don't have much time, but what can person do today? They want to start a business. Let's say you starting from the beginning, you open up your kitchen, you going into real estate. Where would you start? 2025, you're 20 years old, you're thinking to go to school or not, but you're more leaning towards something that's, in construction or other things. Where would you start?
Let me give you a story this is recent, probably 6-8 months ago. I had this call with this lady. She reached out and she's like, hey, Alex, what book should I read, for just thinking business, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, what are you thinking? Right? Because you asked me, what's the best book? I don't know. What do you need? Yeah. So one question after another, I said, I'm a good coach. Yes?
I think so.
You are.
Anyway, and I'm like, hey, let's do Zoom. So we were on Zoom and, I don't know, a few weeks after the initial conversation. We're talking. And she's struggling. I don't know if I want to go to school, right? I would rather go start something, maybe do something. I go, all right, what do you think? Well, I don't have anything. Well, okay, obviously you have something. Give me background. And I knew their family a bit. And I knew her dad because he would come in and order materials. He would do renovations on site and things like that. So he would recommend a client once in a while and we'll do kitchens for them. So she would go out with her dad sometimes and help him at the job site. I don't know what she would do down there, but she would go out and help dad with whatever projects he was working on. I go, what do you mean you don't have anything? Let me show you what you have. I'm like, is your dad's company online? Like, does he have a Google page? No. Could your dad use more leads? Yeah, sure. If he had enough leads, would he possibly maybe quit his job and do this full time? Maybe, right? So I'm like, watch what, like, you already have your dad that could actually do the installation side of things. All you need to do, you're young, you can help him organize things online, start working on leads, learn how to sell, get connections to the products that you can propose to people, and you can become an amazing project manager, right? And you can go out and sell a job, and then your dad comes in and installs. Your dad covers second part of this completely. You don't have to even worry about anything. He has so much experience. So through this conversation, she was blown away. She didn't know what to say because she didn't see what was in the front of her. So I always ask people, hey, what do you have? Like, what type of knowledge do you have? What type of service have you done for other people before, or maybe you worked for someone that you've provided some some sort of the service. So what type of service can you provide today for someone that will pay you money for? That's where you start.
So yeah, it's when I was 20. If someone told me, business is risky, don't do it, it's difficult, I would not have listened to them and started anyway. And so my recommendation for somebody young would be, work for somebody, build some skills. But if you're entrepreneurial mindset and that's how you are, do it. Start a company. Do something that you care about, where you have interest in. So you're excited to come to work and do that thing every day. At least most days. There are, of course, bad days for everyone. And build some skills in that area. Build skills that differentiate you from the competition, and specialize in something. Don't be a general practitioner. Don't become a builder. We build it all. No, find a specialty. We build luxury homes, or we build, or we do additions only, or we do accessibility adaptations. There's such a need for that, and people have a hard time finding people who know that industry. Specialize in that, and then try it. And if you fail, you would have learned a lot of things about yourself, about limitations. And I've hired a ton of people in my company who used to run their own companies and businesses, and people in the 40s and 50s. I would ask them, why don't you run your business? And they would say, I just want to have stability and work for somebody else. So there's absolutely no shame in leaving your business and working for somebody else later. But if you don't, you'll have a hard time forgiving yourself. Man, if I would have tried it, I would have been a multi-billionaire right now, or whatever that your regrets could be. Do it.
Want to start your business? Go for it. And you want to grow? You can connect to small groups in New Jersey, Philadelphia, Lancaster. You can reach out to us. You can comment below and we'll reply to you. But thank you very much, Alex and Konstantin. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think it's a great value, the conversations that we had. And I think this can help somebody if you're growing your business, building your team. Just remember, know your stuff. It's a huge asset. Learn, be educated. And remember, we don't rely just on miracles. We also put in the effort. We're working hard because through it all, God's helping us, but we are also doing our part. Amen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm your host, Alex Papirnik, and co-host Alex Ankudovic and Konstantin Reznik, and this is Kingdom Entrepreneur Business Network Podcast, where faith meets the marketplace. And we appreciate for all our followers. If you didn't subscribe, please do so and hit the like button below and leave any comments. We would greatly review them and read them. If there is any topics that you want us to talk about and you think it's valuable, please share with us and we'll have a podcast on those topics. Thank you very much. See you next time.